Thank you, Honorable Gordon, for attending today. How does the draft EO improve transparency above and beyond the status quo? I know we've talked about it, but can you explain that again?
Sir, I hesitate to point out again that I'm not comfortable talking about the details of the draft, but I will just say from the earlier conversation, and in fact from Congressman Murphy's remarks, that there are some aspects of political contributions which have long been required to be disclosed, and there are some aspects of political contributions which are not today required to be disclosed.
Okay, but you talked about how public perception would improve this process. Absolutely, sir. Disclosure and transparency can strengthen the public trust in the procurement system. Is the public involved any way in advance of the awarding of these contracts by your agency? In many ways, actually. When there is public trust, and this is an issue that's come up when I've worked with developing countries in improving their procurement system, when there is public trust in the integrity of the system, you get more companies willing to participate in competitions. It's extremely important. Absolutely. Okay, so you're saying then that by this draft EO, essentially what we're going to see is that people will have a better idea of who these contractors are, and that would influence your decision whether or not to award a contract? Without talking about the draft, as a general matter, when people have more trust in the system, you can hope to have greater competition. Absolutely. So I guess what I'm trying to get at, are you expecting the general public to influence your decision on a specific contract award? I'm sorry, I'm not sure I understand the question. Okay. The award decision has to be based on the selection criteria in the solicitation, okay, not public perception. Okay, so there's no political involvement in the decision? Absolutely not. It is prohibited, and we have a very strong core of acquisition professionals that know that the Competition and Contracting Act would prohibit them from considering any factor except what's set out in the solicitation. Okay, so you believe contracting officials are able to award contracts without regard to political consideration or how it is achieved? Absolutely. Okay. Are political appointees removed from the selection process, for example? It depends on the situation. There are very large procurements where the selecting official, I think, could be a political appointee, but they are bound just like anybody else by the evaluation criteria. No one can deviate from what's in the solicitation. And if someone deviates, they're going to face an independent review by GAO or the Court of Federal Claims. Okay. And you feel that we do need more disclosure than we currently have? The current system that we have in place is not good enough? I would say as a general matter, I am an advocate of transparency. Okay, so you think we need more than we currently have. You agree with this draft EO? I was asked earlier, sir, I want to say that respecting the sensitivity and the confidentiality of deliberations on drafts is very important. That's true whether it's a discussion in the Situation Room or whether we're talking about a draft executive order. Until the President decides, I don't think either I or any executive branch official should be discussing the content. Okay. Do you think this is an important hearing for this process? I always respect congressional committees. I worked at GAO for 17 years here. I know the enormous value that congressional oversight committees bring. Okay. I just earlier when Ranking Member Cummings seemed shocked that we were doing this and that we needed more disclosure, it just kind of took me back to the last time before I was an elected official when we heard that we need to pass the bill before we know what's in it. And that was, of course, the Affordable Health Care Act that was referred to by both the President and the former Speaker. And I think that the example of the 1099 provision, which was repealed and the President subsequently signed into law, would be an example of why we have these hearings. So I was a little shocked at Ranking Member Cummings' displeasure for this hearing today. But I appreciate your attendance, and I